Hey, I mean, it's just deformities.
Right? Yes. Nice thing to have in your family, you know.
Oh yeah, it builds character, you know. Harden up. I know you've only got one arm, but frick. Man, that was really cold.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
But just like you say, you have to make things into a joke sometimes. But
Hey, yeah, and
like
I found
now,
that this. I found that this also gives me a convenient out, is because if I ever say anything that actually gets interpreted as really nasty or horrible or whatever, I could just say, I was joking.
Right. Well, right now, I mean, in Canada, the Liberals, they put, Pierre Elliott Trudeau's son, Justin Trudeau, he's looking to be the next leader of Canada, of course, and he's spouting all of this nonsense about how he's going to legalize and do all of these wonderful things. And, of course, I don't believe a word of it, because 10 years ago, it was the Liberals that I went to in the first place, you know, the Liberal federal ministers of health. So I think the song that Mr. Trudeau is singing right now is actually just more about controls and regulations. And actually, next April, I believe it is, all the medical licenses in Canada are going to be withdrawn. So people can't grow their own.
Do you appreciate the irony that Trudeau tells a lot of lies, though?
Well, I don't think he's much different than his father, and his father never did nothing for Canada either, and I don't believe that Justin Trudeau will be any different.
It'd be better to have frickin' Justin Bieber or Justin Timberlake than Trudeau.
Well, the only thing I can say about Justin Trudeau is he might be a bit better than that idiot that's leading Canada right now, Stephen Harper.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people really be upset with the Prime Minister, Stephen Harper. It's been quite funny to see all the Canadians get up in arms about it, because when you're in a Commonwealth country, you understand that you're part of the Queen's realm, you know, and I don't know, it's something strange about the Commonwealth is that the only thing that's common is that we all hate our Prime Minister.
Right. Well, I mean, Australia is really no different. There was a speech here a while ago. I laughed when I seen it on the internet. The Australian Prime Minister gave a speech, and a month before, the Canadian Prime Minister had given the same speech.
Oh, yeah, the exact word for word. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yes, you know, I mean, ridiculous, for God's sakes. But I'm hoping one of these days, I know very well that we can all live with the Queen. It would be kind of nice, you know, if we got back to reality and said goodbye to royalty and all this other nonsense. They're just people, the same as we are.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking about this. What's the logic here? Okay, you're the Queen. Okay, I'm the Queen. How did you become the Queen? Well, my father was king. And what about his father? Well, he was king too. Well, let's trace it back to the beginning. How did the first king start? Well, he killed everybody else who was planning to try and rule people or lead anybody. And then said that he was king, and anybody who said different got killed. So does that mean you're a hereditary dictator? Yes, it does. Okay, so why are we paying our taxes to hereditary dictators? Why have they got sweeping powers to dissolve Parliament? You know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't mind dissolving Parliament, except I wouldn't use an act or a law or something. I'd use sulfuric acid, but the
I would too. That's a great idea. I'm just going to spray them like bugs.
I mean, you know, you got all those people on the side of the road with the little pump action spray things that they spray the weeds with and everything like that. You know, just walk up to Parliament.
Well, I mean, you know, when you look today at, you know, all of what the big money is doing, you know, all this chemtrails, my God, it's all over Canada and here in Europe. Well, last year here in Zagreb, the sky was just crisscross. It was just like a checkerboard. You know, but it's just like people, they won't look up. You know, look what they're doing to us, for God's sakes. You know, and what's in there? You know, the barium and aluminum sulfate and all this other trash. What right do they have? I mean, they're crop dusting the human race, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
No one has that right. And then I looked into it a bit deeper, and from what I understand, guess who's behind it?
Monsanto?
Would it surprise you? Would it surprise you if I said the Rothschilds and their banker friends?
Oh,
They're
well.
the ones that are causing this.
Well, can I ask you? Can you tell me one instance of scumbaggery that affects an entire country or the globe that wasn't involved in some way? The Rothschilds.
Well, yes, that's a very strong point, brother, because they've been running the show now for around 200 years, and that's truly sickening. You know that one family is in control of over half the money on the planet. And on top of that, the Queen herself, as I understand it, the royal family is worth something like $17 trillion.
They still maintain the land and mineral rights to every country in the Commonwealth. So you can buy the topsoil, and buy a bit of land and put your house on it or whatever. But if the Queen decides that they want the oil that's underneath you, you don't have any rights of ownership at all because they own everything.
Right. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Whenever I'm on a piece of land, I would love to see Prince Charles come and try to take it away from me.
They never do anything themselves, though. Have you noticed that? They've always got these lackeys. I remember seeing a thing on the internet. It was like they had a list of all of these different servants that the royals have. And it's something along the lines of well over 100 servants. All right, this is only a handful of people living in these palaces, and they've got like 100 servants, including the groomer of the stool, whose job it is.
I know about that one. You're the royal ass wiper.
I mean, talk about a crap job.
Oh yes, I don't think I'd want that one.
I mean, what's the necessity? There is no necessity.
You'd think the people would catch on. I know I was doing an interview in England here quite a while ago, and I told them before, just as the interview started, I said, there's probably going to be a lot of people in England that are not going to be too pleased with what I'm about to say. And so the announcer, he said, well, what is it that you're going to say? And I said, I think they should take the royal family out into the middle of the Atlantic and keel haul them all. And he started laughing, and he said, Rick, he said, 10 years ago, if you had made that statement, he said, yes, people would have hated you. But he said, almost everyone in England now would agree with that statement.
Oh, that's great.
So the times, they are changing, brother.
Yeah, hey, and come gather around people wherever you roam and don't criticize because you're about to go home. And the problem is, I think, people don't have the courage of their convictions. Everybody's willing to say, that's cool. Let's get rid of the royals. To say something is very, very different from doing something. Much like it's very different to know the path and walk the path.
Well, that's the same with all of these patients that I've seen. Everyone that come to me, they all said the same thing. If this medicine works, I'm going to tell the world. 3 months later, they're cured of their terminal cancer or whatever, and they don't say a word. There's only about maybe 1 in 10 people that will actually open up about the subject. The rest of them are just like the sheeple they've always been. They go back in the corner and they hide. And that's what's wrong. If everyone who would use this oil would just get up and tell the world what it did for them, we could end this so much more quickly. Like we said, people are sheeple.
Yeah, and we have an education system, a government, and 100 years of social engineering to blame for this, I believe. We have